I want to officially welcome everybody to tonight's online information session. This is for the master's degree in financial mathematics here at Johns Hopkins Engineering. My name is Ken Chappell. I'm the Director of Marketing, Recruitment, and Communications. And joining me this evening is Dr. David Audley. He's the Chair of Financial Mathematics. David, you want to say a quick hello?
Sure. Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. I'm excited that there's so much interest in our financial mathematics program, which is relatively new in the Engineering for Professionals division of our School of Engineering. Ken?
Great. Thanks, David. So here's tonight's agenda. We're going to start off with an introduction to Johns Hopkins Engineering. And then I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Audley, and he's going to walk everybody through the ins and outs of the financial mathematics program, give you an overview, talk about the requirements, and so on. Then we're going to talk about next steps for interested students. Things like, how do I apply? What are my financial aid options? Things of that nature. And then we're going to do a live Q&A. And the way we're going to handle that is throughout the course of the evening, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them into the questions box or the questions tab on your control panel. We're going to wait till the end to answer the questions, but I don't want you to lose track of any questions that pop into your mind as we go through the presentation. So go ahead and type them in at your own pace, and we'll, again, address those at the end of the presentation. And then we'll conclude for the evening. So with that, I want to give you a little bit of context and talk to you about how it is that we fit into Johns Hopkins University. This diagram illustrates pretty well sort of the organization of the university. What you see in the blue is all the different schools within Johns Hopkins University. There are 9 different schools in all, one of which is the Whiting School of Engineering, and you see that in the green bubbles at the bottom. Now the Whiting School has a lot of different offerings. We have full-time bachelor's, master's, and PhD programs. We have research centers, academic centers, and so on. But off to the right, you see that orange bubble that has Engineering for Professionals. Now that's the administrative name of our division. But essentially what that means is we are the part-time and online graduate education division of the Whiting School. So who are we exactly? Well, as I said, we are Johns Hopkins Engineering, and as such, we are one of the largest, if not the largest, part-time and online graduate engineering program in the United States. When you earn your diploma with us, it will say Johns Hopkins University, Whiting School of Engineering, and then the name of the master's degree that you studied. There is no mention of online. There is no mention of part-time. There is no mention of Engineering for Professionals. So it is pretty straightforward. Now what you'll see on this slide is we offer 20 different master's degree programs, 16 of which can be completed online. Now the other 4 have some classes that are available online as well, but there aren't enough at this point to have those degrees fully online. But they are adding more each year. For example, Applied and Computational Math, that should be fully online probably within the next year. And the other programs are following closely behind. Now, in addition to these programs, we also offer 26 certificate programs. We have 266 online courses, and we employ more than 500 adjunct faculty. Now, these instructors are typically high-level industry experts, often from Fortune 500 companies, startups, government agencies, the military, and more. And what they do is they blend the theory and the practice of each discipline to deliver a rigorous and respected educational experience. Now our students, looking at this slide, our students come from these same types of companies and agencies and branches of the military. On average, our student is in their early 30s, works full-time, and they're really looking for a flexible yet prestigious graduate program to fit into their busy lives. Nearly half of our students live outside of the Baltimore, D.C. area and complete their degrees fully online. Now those who live in the D.C. Baltimore area have the option to take classes in person, but even those local students we find are favoring the flexibility and convenience of the online format these days. And as a graduate of any of our programs, you will be a graduate of the Whiting School of Engineering. Now that's a alumni population of 28,000 plus. So that really opens an impressive door for networking opportunities. Now with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Dr. Audley, and he's going to walk everybody through the financial mathematics program. David?
Ken, thank you very much. So again, it's a pleasure to be here with you all tonight. We'll go through some of the program here, and let's see if I can advance the slide here. There we go. So a couple of things that I think are important to recognize. Our program is in financial mathematics is modeled after the residence program that we've been offering on campus for a little over 10 years now. We have a financial mathematics master's degree in our on-campus program. Financial mathematics at the graduate level has been going on at Johns Hopkins for much longer than that. Mostly in previous years previous to our master's program, there were anywhere from a handful of PhD students following a financial mathematics research degree. And probably 12, 13 years ago, there was a move on behalf of the dean at the time to institute a master's level program at Johns Hopkins in financial mathematics that was tailored to a practitioner's level. Wasn't necessarily a research degree, although many or some of the courses were the same courses that one would take as an entering PhD student. The emphasis was on a professional degree that would prepare people for careers in industry. So with the development of that program and getting some confidence that we were competing well with other programs nationally by virtue of our rankings in various survey programs, we decided to expand the program to include an online offering through the Engineering for Professionals division. I myself am a regular faculty member on campus, and I teach on-campus courses, and I do courses through the online program for the financial math offered remotely. Most of our faculty have previous experience in the industry. I myself spent 20 years on Wall Street at places like Merrill Lynch, at some hedge funds, at firms on the buy side, and at for a short time at a financial technology firm. So most of us have traded positions, managed portfolios, written code to implement financial models, and so forth. Our offerings online are a hybrid of a number of different approaches to online offering. I've done some where they were primarily just myself lecturing to PowerPoints that we have online. We've done some where we integrate into that a live capture in the classroom, and that seems to be getting some pretty good acceptance. There are trade-offs in that with the offering that's just purely an online, almost like a show. It's a little more concise, can be condensed into a shorter time period, which is more efficient for students. On the other hand, when we do online capture in the classroom, it gives participants that are participating online the opportunity to see the interaction with other students. So I should say that the online offerings and the in-class offerings are in every way that we can make them identical. Nothing is watered down. For the most part, you do the same homework problems, the same model building and other kinds of activities that go on in the classroom are the ones that you do on your own remotely. The one thing that I think the online program offers that is a little bit better than what we offer on campus is that most of our students are in the industry at various firms and provide some wonderful insight to each other as to, you know, current issues of the day and how things that we're learning online you know, are viewed in the industry and their experience and encounters with it. This is done through various discussion sessions among students and during our weekly office hours that the faculty conduct, which is kind of just a little round robin of questions and answers. So let's move on and take a look at the degree offering and the certificates. We have a Master's of Science offering in financial math, and we have 3 graduate certificates, one in financial risk management, another in quantitative portfolio, and the third one, which is a little bit unique, is in securitization of financial receivables, and we'll talk a little bit about those as we go on. The graduate certificates are meant to provide a waypoint for students who may be in the Master of Science program, and they would like to get a credential along the way that represents the fulfillment of a set of requirements, or some students who are focused on moving into, for example, the risk management arena may find the certificate in risk management sufficient, and it's excellent preparation for the various risk management certifications that are offered in the industry. So let's talk briefly about the admissions requirements. Typically, we expect applicants to have an undergraduate degree in a quantitative discipline. The program is called Financial Mathematics because it's pretty heavy in mathematics as well as in the applications of mathematics to the financial arena, whether it's in the capital markets or in banking or in portfolio management or whatever, risk management. And so having a undergraduate degree with quantitative content is pretty important. So usually students with degrees in engineering, physics, the sciences, mathematics, you know, they usually satisfy the undergraduate quantitative requirements, which we show here are typically including calculus, linear algebra, differential equations, probability, and some computer programming. Computer programming is not a prerequisite because, you know, in terms of previous coursework, because many people learn programming on their own, and we certainly accept that. One other component is that this is a you know, a graduate program, and for the most part, we expect applicants to have some full-time work experience in a field that is either in finance or somehow related. It could be in computer programming, for example, or in a consulting firm, or at a technology firm, or what have you. So those are the 3 areas: the undergraduate degree, the 2 years of experience, the competency, and the quantitative disciplines. If the GPA is at least 3.0, then, you know, that makes it easy for us. Lesser GPAs, you know, are viewed and are considered in context. We look at growth through the undergraduate degree. We look at pursuit after graduation in an undergraduate degree of improving or expanding, and we consider that certainly as important. We don't require the GRE. So let's briefly mention the requirements for the master's degree. Typically, we have a 10-course requirement for the degree. There are 9 courses which we call our core courses, and then we allow for the choice of an elective. And we'll talk about this a little bit more in detail. The requirement is that the requirement is that these courses be completed within 5 years. So these are the core courses. There's a broad spectrum introductory course in what we call investment science, which covers a lot of things in finance and in the mathematics that support that. There's a course in financial derivatives, which we call Introduction to Financial Derivatives, which is probably 80% on derivatives and 20% on the underlying instruments that financial derivatives rely on. We have a course in interest rate and credit derivatives. That's a big focus area in the industry, and so we have a very intense component in that. We have our course in financial risk measurement and financial risk management. There's a course in statistical methods for data analysis. Optimization course that is applied to finance. Monte Carlo methods. Many areas of finance today require analysis or models set up that use Monte Carlo analysis. There's a course in time series analysis, and then we have a course which is an introductory course to stochastic differential equations with their applications to finance. And so those are the 9 core courses for the degree, and then there are a variety of courses that can be chosen as an elective. Just to briefly look at the certificates, the certificates have a 5-course requirement. The admission requirements are same as those for the master's degree, and here the requirement is that in a 3-year time frame the 5 courses be completed. For the financial risk management, and you'll notice that as we look through the certificates, there's duplication. There are courses that are common to the certificates, and then there are courses that are unique to each of the certificates. And for the most part, the certificates cover the first few courses that you would take in progressing towards your master's degree, even though you may not have the intent of completing the master's degree. So for example, in financial risk, we have the introductory investment science course, the financial derivatives. Then there is a very intense course on financial risk measurement and the situation with the regulatory environment, the Basel requirements and Basel III, the Dodd-Frank kind of requirements here in the U.S. and so forth. Statistical methods, which are important for financial risk, and Monte Carlo again is another area that's used in analyzing financial risk for organizations. Another one in portfolio management, again, some of the same courses, now we substitute, and there's a quantitative portfolio theory, there's an optimization course for finance optimization and portfolio theory going very much hand in hand. The other certificate in securitization addresses the structured products which exist in the industry, mortgage-backed securities, the collateralized issues where, for example, automobile loans, student loans, and so forth are used as underlying collateral for bonds that are issued to big investment portfolios. And so here again, we have the introductory courses as well as the statistical methods in Monte Carlo, which apply to analyzing these securitized structured products. So our program is exclusively offered online. I've been quite pleased with the technology that we have to support the online offerings. There's a number of opportunities for students to interact with each other, for me to interact each week with students in the class, or for any instructor. I don't mean just me individually. I say that with my hat on as an instructor in the program. And it seems to work really well. I must say that there are times when I feel as though I'm learning as much from students who are currently in the industry as I have to offer to them. Ken?
Great, thanks very much, David. And I'll add one note to that about the online format that we have. While the financial mathematics online program is fairly new, we at Engineering for Professionals have been providing online education for more than 15 years now. So our approach to it is quite mature, and we actually have a Center for Learning Design and Technology at EP, and that portion of our staff works directly with instructors to build out the online courses, to make sure that the pedagogy is top-notch and that the technology that we're using is state-of-the-art. So we're always looking to improve our online learning approach, but right now it's very mature and it seems to be working quite well. So with that, I just wanted to talk through some important dates. The spring term, looking at that center panel there, spring term starts on January 23rd. Now, while that's a little ways away, on the left you'll see that registration for the spring term opens next week. So what does that mean? Well, that means that we encourage you to apply sooner rather than later. And the reason being that the sooner you get your application in, the sooner you can be admitted into the program, and the sooner you can get into the courses that you really want. Now, I don't know if this is true for financial mathematics, but certainly in other programs like computer science, the very first day that registration is open, people are chomping at the bit to get into some of those courses. So something to keep in mind. Now, if the spring term is a little bit too soon for you to start, the summer term is right around the corner as well. Now, registration for summer opens on March 23rd, and that academic term begins at the end of May. On that note, I will mention that we have 3 academic terms, spring, summer, and fall. So it does give you some flexibility as to when you begin your degree program. We have rolling admissions, which means that you can apply any time of year for any one of those 3 academic terms. So in terms of application checklist, it's pretty straightforward. I know David just talked everybody through the application requirements, but in terms of the ins and outs of it here, we have an online application. There's the URL right there. If you go online to our website, it's a pretty straightforward online form. Once you've submitted that, we're looking for your official transcripts from all college studies. We no longer have an application fee. We used to charge $75, but we did away with that a little while ago. So, like I said, we've lowered the bar a little bit in terms of getting people to apply to the programs. And so if you have any questions about that, you can certainly reach out to our admissions staff, and they can walk you through any roadblocks that you are running into. Now, in terms of financial aid, what are your options? Well, there are 5 options listed here: federal financial aid, the National GEM Consortium, and so on. Unfortunately, we don't offer any scholarships through the Engineering for Professionals division, but we do have some funding options here available for you. And if you want to find some additional information about these options, you can go onto our website. There's a URL at the bottom of the screen, and that'll give you a little more in-depth information. Now, I will say that the financial aid at Johns Hopkins offers administered centrally. So if you are going to pursue one of these financial aid options, we at Engineering for Professionals would not be the ones helping you with that. We would pass you on to the Central Financial Aid Office. Our current tuition is $3,880 per course. Now, we do raise tuition a little bit each year, but if you are pursuing a master's degree, you'll need 10 courses to complete the degree, so you're looking at somewhere around $40,000 when all is said and done. Now, we don't charge tuition on an annual basis like you would see in a full-time program. We offer it by the course, so if you're only taking one course this spring, you're going to be charged $3,880. Of course, if you're taking 2 courses, you would double that. So that's the way our tuition model works. So with that, we're going to go ahead and open up the discussion to your questions. And looks like we had some come in during the course of the presentation. So I'll go ahead and read these off and have David answer any that he would like to answer. So the first one says, I plan on taking the prerequisite math courses, multivariable calculus and linear algebra through Khan Academy. It offers comprehensive courses, however, they are in a self-taught platform, and therefore I wouldn't have transcripts to submit. Are there test out opportunities for the math prereqs? And this person's background is a BA in liberal arts and an MBA. So a lot to unpack there, David, but I'll let you take a shot at it.
So I'm not familiar with the opportunities to test out. For the self-learners. Ken, I'd have to follow up on that question. I know there are online programs that do provide us transcripts. We've had those obviously, quite extensively, but I don't know about the testing out through the third-party service. I know they exist out there, but I couldn't specifically point out those that would support the courses that we're trying to ensure people have competency in.
Yeah.
So that's a stumper for me on that one.
Well,
I'll have to look into that.
Okay, and I can add a little bit of information there. We have been talking about the option of having some tests, some core competency tests. We haven't quite gone there yet. So at this point, if you've taken Khan Academy classes, we're probably going to need to see some sort of actual accredited classwork to help you with those prereqs.
And I would say that I would only require seeing them for the end courses. I wouldn't necessarily have to see all the calculus transcript. If you show me a transcript that shows me that, for example, you passed a differential equations or a probability course, I would accept that as evidence that you had all of the competencies that lead up to that.
Okay, great. The next question is an undergraduate degree in finance acceptable?
Again, the nature of the coursework is highly quantitative, and the only reason we specify these mathematical or quantitative competencies is because we want to the best of our ability, make sure that students are prepared to succeed in the program, and so we need to see some evidence that that admission is warranted based on a background. So whatever the undergraduate degree is in, it's not that important as long as somewhere we can see the quantitative competency demonstrated.
Great, thank you. The next question asks, are all courses offered each semester?
The answer there is no. But there are paths that students can pursue at whatever pace they have an appetite for. Some students are anxious to get through as fast as possible, and while there are only a couple of the courses, a handful of the courses, maybe 3 or 4 of the courses that are sequence dependent. And so, for example, the statistics course, some people take that early. Some people could take the stochastic calculus course as a first course. Typically, we advise that the financial derivatives course precede the interest rate and credit derivatives. But we have 2 entry points into that sequence a year. So it's we don't currently offer every course every semester, but there are pathways so that students can enter the program and proceed at a pace that they that will be satisfactory. So if you want to take 1 course a semester, fine. That's a path that's open. If you want to take more courses, that path is open, but there may not be, especially after you've filled out 6 or 7 of the courses, it may be that you can't take 2 courses every term, but there may be a term out there where there would be only 1 course offered of the remaining courses that you need.
Okay. The next question asks if students should apply to a specific term, or can you defer if accepted? And the answer to that is, when you fill out the online application, it's going to ask you what your intended start term is. So if you were to go fill it out today and say, I want to start in spring 2017, that's the way you would handle it. Now, does that mean you have to start spring 2017? No. We give students up to a year to enroll in their first class. So if you were to say in your application, I want to start spring 2017, and then something happens in your life that prevents you from starting for a while, you have until spring 2018 to actually start taking classes. Now, we don't encourage that, but it is allowable. And really what we ask is, if you do plan to defer your enrollment, that you contact us and just let us know, hey, listen, I applied for the spring, I was accepted, but X, Y, and Z happened. I'm going to wait till summer, or I'm going to wait till fall, or what have you. The next question asks, is there a tuition break for the prerequisite math course? And I don't know, maybe you can speak to this, David, as to whether or not we offer the prerequisite math course. I know we offer many prerequisite courses for computer science, and for those there is a tuition break, but I don't know if we currently offer the math course as a prerequisite, or if students would need to find a community college or a university in their area to do that.
We do have, when we review the application and we see the background, if we think it's close but maybe not ideal, we will often come back with a recommendation that they take a particular course. I don't have any insight as to whether there's a tuition break on doing that course, so I'd have to defer that to someone who has who handles the billing. Ken.
Yeah, and you can certainly follow up with our admissions office with those types of questions as well. And via email, you can reach the admissions office at jhep@jhu.edu. So the next question asks, what career options do the graduates of this program have in the Baltimore area?
So we have, So the financial math program online is new, but as I said, we've been offering a master's in financial math in the residence program for almost 10 years now. And we do have graduates that are placed in the Baltimore, Washington area. We have, interestingly, a number of graduates who have gone to work at Fannie Mae, which is the the federal agency that oversees the securitization of residential mortgages, and they have a number of highly quantitative jobs in finance. They have a huge they manage a huge portfolio. They have a big trading operation. They support the liquidity of mortgage-backed bonds in the market and so forth. And so we have a number of graduates that have gone there. We have graduates at T. Rowe Price, for example, which is a big mutual fund operation in Baltimore. We've had graduates go to Constellation Energy, a huge energy consortium. They have a big energy trading business. They use derivatives to hedge their exposure to energy costs, raw materials, oil, coal, whatever it is that, and against weather and so forth. So we do have a number of employers, Legg Mason in the Baltimore area. We have a graduate that works at the Federal Reserve Research Office, which has an office in Baltimore. M&T Bank has a financial division in Baltimore, and there are a number of them in the Middle Atlantic region. We have a graduate that works for BlackRock. That's over in Newark, Delaware. I'm not sure if you consider that still our region. Doesn't seem very far when I drive past it on 95, but it certainly is. There's a number of financial firms over there, including J.P. Morgan Chase and others. So yeah, there are a number of firms in the region that hire. There are several hedge funds in our region that have hired our graduates, and so yes, there are employers in our region. Most of our graduates, kind of have their eye on going up to Wall Street, but there are others that stay in our Middle Atlantic region.
Okay. Yep. So the next question is about international students. We have an international student with an undergraduate degree from a foreign country. Does it need to be evaluated by WES? And the answer to that is yes. We do ask for any foreign transcripts to go through the WES service. There's also the need for a TOEFL evaluation. And that type of information for international students can be found on our website as well. There's a tab on the top navigation of our website with additional information about international students. But the short answer is yes. The next question asks, is there a limit to how many students are accepted into the program, and what is the approximate acceptance rate?
So right now we don't have a limit on the number of students. I suppose at some point class size might become an issue. It's not now. I mean, online is pretty scalable. I would say that our acceptance rate is driven by a student's background in the quantitative. We've had a number of applicants who are accepted provisionally, depending on satisfaction of certain other requirements. We've for a couple of students that had GPAs below 3.0, but we saw the growth potential and the potential in the student. We have a requirement that they achieve at least a certain grade level in their first couple of courses. So the acceptance rate is on the applicants that I see. I know they're screened before they get to me. I would say that probably from a half to 2 out of 3 are accepted at some level or another.
Great. Next question asks, is the online master diploma different from the on-site one? And David, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the only difference you'll see is what we offer here is a Master of Science in Financial Math, and I think the full-time master's program is either a Master of Financial Math or an MSE in Financial Math.
Yeah, it's a Master's of Science in Engineering. Now, I would say the big difference between the residence program and the online program is we're trying to prepare new college graduates to enter the workforce for the first time. And so there's a focus on professional communications, on job search and career development skills, on networking. Because we have a fair number of international students in the residence program, there are English language strengthening efforts, and so and also we have a requirement in the residence program for an internship. So for the online program, for the EP program, we're talking about students who are already in the workforce, have already met many of the the challenges of full-time employment and working in groups and all of that kind of thing. So those activities are not part of our online program. So those are the big differences between the online and the residence program.
Great, thanks, David.
Ken, any other questions?
Yeah, next question asks, for the residential program, do you know what the ranking is? And I don't, but.
Well, I know there are 2 ranking services, and we're top 10 in both, but I'm not sure exactly of what the number. I think we might be 8 in one and 10 in the other, or something like that.
Great.
That's what I know.
Okay. The next question asks.
We may be better than 8. I'm not sure.
Okay. The next question: are there any computer programming questions that are part of the major? If yes, which ones?
Computer programming questions as
maybe
part of the major. So there are no computer programming courses, but there are there is a requirement to build some models. Whether they are for the most part, those models can be completed in Excel. If there is a need to use a programming language like, say, a Visual Basic, then we typically give the the background to do that. There are some statistical packages that get used in the statistical programs, courses, that are more statistical, packages such as MATLAB and so forth. But there's no requirement to do programming in an object-oriented language like C++ or Java. There's no requirement to know scripting languages, for example. We do have students with those competencies, and we encourage them to use those competencies in addressing some of the project work and models that are built in the course, to the extent that they find that supportive of their objectives in their career. So that would give them an opportunity on a job interview to talk about a project they did in school in Python or some tool like that. So the answer is, I think the answer is no. That's the short answer. The long answer is, well, not exactly no, but mostly no, but not necessarily no. Okay.
Thanks, David. The next question, if I don't pass a class and I'm required to take it again, do I have to pay for it a second time? Unfortunately, the answer to that is yes. If you don't receive a passing grade and since so many of these courses are required, you will be required to pay for that class again. The next question, do students have access to on-campus career services? Currently, the answer to that is yes, but with a caveat. Our students do have access to career services. Currently, they are not to the extent that the full-time students have access, but we're working on negotiations with the Career Services Office to gain access for our students to some of those additional services. Now, go ahead.
Do they have access? Do they have access to JConnect? Do you know, for example?
I believe they do, and there's also a new service called Go Hop Online, which
right. Those are the two. Those services are quite extraordinary, and even if that is, those services are excellent. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Ken.
Oh no, quite all right. Next question: where can I find more information about the on-site program? If anybody's interested, you can go to engineering.jhu.edu. The next person asks or says, I took some quantitative courses on Coursera. Does that count? And if yes, how does it weigh among the other requirements?
So we get a transcript from Coursera of some fashion. Is that true? I don't know the answer to that.
I'm not sure either. I think that's another question that you should take up with our admissions office. My understanding is that Coursera is very similar to Khan Academy, so there may not be a transcript that goes along with that, but as I said, please follow up with our admissions office and they can advise you more fully on that. Okay, well those are all the questions that have come in so far. So I'm going to go ahead and just remind folks of some of the upcoming dates that we have. Oh, it looks like one more question just came in. From your site, on a case-by-case basis, MOOC courses completion with verification will be considered for demonstration of competency. Okay, so that would appear as though we do give some consideration to those types of Coursera and Khan Academy courses. So thank you for that. What type of mathematical preparation can you recommend for a prospective student who has taken the required courses as an undergraduate but has been away from school for a number of years?
Okay, so we do have, there is one course, at least there's one course that I'm aware of in the Applied Math and Computation program that is a, an excellent refresher background type course that would not apply towards the financial math degree or program, but it would provide the refresher challenge to sharpen those skills prior to entering the financial math programs. And so upon application, I don't have that course number, by the way, off the top of my head, but I do know we have made recommendation for that to a couple of students, and if someone wants to email me, I'll exchange that. I'll provide that those course numbers to them so they can look at the descriptions in the catalog and so forth.
Great. One of our participants asked or mentioned that he's concerned about that his background is not quantitative enough, maybe 3 out of the 5 prereqs, but he's still interested in the program and is wondering what our recommendation is. I will point out Dr. Audley's email address is at the bottom of the screen. This may be the type of conversation that, David, you would want to handle offline and get a little more detail about
Sure.
this person's background.
Okay, I'm happy to do that. And, you know, if there's an opportunity to talk over the phone or whatever, that's fine too. I usually suggest that people consult a local community college. Very often these courses are offered and are quite reasonable in the public community college system, and that's usually an excellent channel to pick up those competencies. But I'm happy to to consider the specifics, and talk to people about it, communicate with them.
Great, thanks, David. So that gets us to the end of our questions so far. I'm going to go ahead and put up the slide again with a reminder of some of the important dates coming up. Again, registration for the spring opens up next week, and then the spring term starts at the end of January. Certainly, if you're looking a little bit further ahead, keep in mind that March 23 is the opening date for registration for summer, and then that summer term begins at the end of May. So with that, it looks like all the questions have come in for now. Again, I encourage folks to contact Dr. Audley offline if you so desire and you want to get a little bit more information about your own particular situation. We certainly do welcome additional questions offline. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the session for this evening. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to thank Dr. David Audley for all of his information and insight about the program. And I want to wish you all a wonderful evening. Good night, everyone.